Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. As I mentioned last week, on Friday, we have discussed the classical economists. So today just mm, I'm going to explain the famous classical economists we have studied. I will repeat generally and what was their main ideas. Main idea of classical economics was laissez-faire, laissez-passer. This is in French language, which means don't touch the economy, don't make intervention. Government should not do any interventions to the economy. Economy will self-regulate, self-correcting. Its economy is self-correcting, and this is also called as a self-regulation economy. Mostly the main idea of Say, which was one of the classical economists, was supply creates its own demand. We have discussed this type of explanations last week, that when people consume less, they just invest more. So when they invest more, there is no change in total expenditure. That what people gain is spending, or expenditure is going to expenditure. That's why 5,000 difference is that it's 2,900. This increased by 100, which is before 600. Now 700. So here we see that consumption decreased by 100, but investment increased also by 100. That's why there is no change in total expenditure. This was the law of what law of Say's law, or in short we call. Also, we have discussed last week about the classical view of credit market, that when people save more, what happens? Saving in the banks increases. When savings in the bank increases, this will give pressure to decrease the interest rates. When interest rates are cheaper, it is good for investors to what? To get more of investment. That's why they will have more investment. That's why there is no change in investment. If saving increases by $20,000, investment also increased by $20,000. Why? Because of what? Cheaper interest rates. Now, three stages of economy we discussed. This is real GDP is less than real GDP, natural GDP. We call this situation as a recessionary gap. If real GDP is greater than natural rate of unemployment, this is called inflationary gap. If real GDP is equal to natural rate of GDP, it is called long run equilibrium. We also discussed about the types of unemployment, like frictional unemployment, structural unemployment, and cyclical unemployment. So in frictional unemployment, people having a frictional unemployment is normal. Like some people are quit their job and trying to find another job, or the student graduated from the college and they're looking for the job. This is also frictional unemployment. Someone moved from one city to another city and looking for another job. This is also frictional unemployment, and this is just temporary. And also structural unemployment. We also discussed that one person is not working according to his profession, because structure of the economy is not suitable. For example, you may graduate from medical college and you don't become a doctor, you become a just what, let's say, a businessman. So because the structure of the economy is not demanding much more on doctors, but it is based morely on business. For example, then you just decide doing the business and so on. Next one, we see three situations. So point one here, we see that this is a yellow line. This is what quantity natural. Quantity natural means supply curve, long run aggregate supply in here is straight vertical. Why it is so? Because in Qn we call like a full employment, so there is still frictional and structural unemployment, it might be 3-5%, but the rest of the population is fully working. So we assume that all the resources in here are fully used, and there is no more production. So more than QN we can't, because economy is working in full capacity. But in point one, we see that here. Do you see? Point one, we see that economy is producing less than full capacity, which means there is still a cyclical unemployment. So unemployment is high. We are not using all our workers in the economy. Second, in second time, this situation is called recessionary gap. And here we see that we produce more than our natural rate of employment. So you see this long run average supply curve, this yellow one, but Q1.1 is more, and we call this situation like a recession, inflationary gap. So what do we see here is that even we don't see here what natural unemployment, we don't see here uh, frictional unemployment. So almost it is zero. Everybody has the job. And third one, we see this is the economies here. Point one, this is in the right way which we want economy is in the equilibrium. And we also discussed this situation that if economy is at point one, what happens, or what how, according to classical economists, how it's going to self-regulate by itself. As they told us that if it is in the recession, if economy is recession, which means they are not producing less than, so our capacity is to produce this 6,000, let's say, 6 billion, let's say. Suppose that natural rate of GDP is 6 billion, but we produce 5.2 billion. Unemployment rate is higher at 5.2 billion than 6. So unemployment is high in here. So according to classical economists, how it's going to self-regulate by itself, they say that short-run average supply, short-run in long run will move to the right, so it will increase. When it increases, price will go down, and at point two, everybody is happy, they say. And how it will increase? Why short run, even it's in the crisis, is increasing? Well, they say that when unemployment is high, wages will go down. When wages will go down, workers' labor force is cheaper. So when labor force is cheaper, the demand for labor force will increase. So when when demand increases to hire more workers, they produce more. When they produce more, prices for goods and services will go down. So in long run, they say that even the prices, even the salaries of the worker is less, the price is also less. That's why workers and prices decreased. Even the salary of workers decreased. That's why there is no change in the standard of living of workers. That is why it's okay in long run. Who says? Classical economy. According to classical economists, prices and wages are flexible. So when there is a crisis, wages will go down. When wages goes down, producers hire more workers to produce more. So as short-run average supply will increase. When supply increases, prices will go down. So it will decrease and so on. So this is self-regulating recessionary gap. This is inflationary gap. So we assume that we are point one. So what happens at point one? There is no, we don't see the shortage of workers. Everybody is working. In this case, who will dictate more? The workers. More workers will ask to increase their salaries, because when the contract expires, they will say increase our salaries or we won't work. So he will have to, the job giver or employer will have to increase the salary of workers. When he increases the salary of workers, from 1 to 2, when it increases here, what do we see? Cost of production increase. When cost of production increases, producers will produce less. When they produce less, price focused incentives will increase, and this is how it goes back to point 1 to point 2. Supply decreases. Why is supply is decreasing? As I said, because when they increase wages of salaries, cost of production or salary, when increase in salary will increase the cost of production for producer. That's why when cost increases, they decide to produce what? Less. So we see here, what do we see in here? In reality, we see here what business cycle. We see in here a business cycle. So according to this business cycle, no. According to business cycle, what do we see? This is inflationary gap. This is recessionary gap. So red line is our full employment long run average. This is our trend. This is time. This is our GDP. So what's going on here? We see that inflationary gap. When there is an inflationary gap, what happens? When it increases from this point, it will go down. So when there is an inflationary gap, what happens? Cost of production will increase. When cost of production increases, they will decide to produce less. When they produce less, it goes back to here. If there is an inflationary gap, that's why there will be unemployment is high. When unemployment is high, wages will go down. Wages will go down, so that it will increase and come to what to the long run full employment. We can see here. So we call this situation when it's going down recession. This is trough, or we call depression. This is recovery. This is called expansion, and so on. So the most big, as I have mentioned last week, the critics to the classical economics was critics of the real self-regulating economy, which we call John Maynard Keynes. John Maynard Keynes said that in his theory of general theory of unemployment, said that we could see that in after World War II and before the World War I, in 1929 to 33, we had a Great Depression, and self-regulating economy couldn't recover it back, so that we couldn't increase our GDP. But so we need a government intervention. He said, when there is economy in the crisis, government should do something in order to increase what GDP. And what was his main solution? Main solution was increase government expenditures. When government expenditures increases, production will increase, and economy again will work, and so on. And first, his criticism to the Say's law, or in general the critics to the classical economists, was that when consumption decreases, they don't save all their money. So people don't save all their money in banks. He said they save only part of their money. Then when they don't save much more, then economy total expenditure will decrease. He said, for example, what happened in here before, it was consumption 3,000 and it decreased to 2,900, but from 100 they just saved $40. They have just saved $40. So they didn't save 100, they just saved $40. So the total expenditure is 4,940, not 3,000. So GDP decreased in recession, and he said it will just stuck there. It will not move. What did he say? So if the economy in the recession, point one, if someone will not do anything, it will not move here. Why? Because he said there are two reasons why it will stuck at point one. First reason, it was that wages are not sticky. Second, it was that prices are not sticky. Well, he said, for example, at point one, job givers or employers will not decrease their salaries. Why? First of all, he said that if job giver decrease their salary, job workers will have a negotiation with job giver through the will have a negotiation with employers through the job unions, and they will have a bargain, and that if they can say that if you are going to decrease our salaries, we are not going to work, or if you are going to decrease our salaries, we will stop working. And he said that decreasing a salary will have more cost than not decreasing the salary. Why? Because when you decrease the salary of worker, he will be demoralized or demotivated. Why? Because his income decreased, so he will not work as before. Because his income decreased, when he does not work as before, what happens? Total production also decreases, and cost for production will increase, and it is not good for them. Also, neoclassical economists also say that, or neo-Keynesian economists also say that when you decrease, first of all, the wages will stuck at point one because of job contracts. So when you sign a contract 1 year with your job giver, you will say that whatever the economy happens, you are going to pay me the salary during this 1 year. So it is impossible, even it's a recession, to decrease the salary of workers. Second, as I said, when people are paid more, they are more productive than when they are paid less. So that's why when they are paid more, the productivity of workers increase. When productivity of workers increase, it is good for the company or firm as well, because cost of production will decrease, and that is why companies will not decrease the wage. When they don't decrease the wages, then what happens? Total supply will not increase, will not move from 1 to 2. It will just stop at point 1, and it will stuck there. And Keynes said that to move from point 1 to point 2, we don't need invisible hand, we need government's hand. Government should increase the government's expenditures, he said. And as I said, new Keynesian and wage rates, long-run contracts locks the wage during the contract period, so it will not decrease. Secondly, efficiency wage models, workers are more productive when you pay more wages. Also, Keynes said that prices will not go down because economy is not perfectly competitive. It has the properties of imperfect competition and monopolistic elements. That's why it will not decrease. So main difference between classical economists and Keynesian economists is that classical economists, all output risks will be demanded, they said, but Keynes said more output may be produced than it will be demanded. Secondly, he said amount saved and interest rate are directly related. Savers save more at higher interest rates and save less at lower interest rates. Savers may not save more at higher interest rates or save less